Hey, what's up? Stephanie, the English coach here from EnglishFulltime.com. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, will reading out loud help me improve my pronunciation and speaking skills? Now, the simple answer is that yes, it will help in some ways, but there are better methods, and I don't recommend that you primarily use this method, reading out loud, to improve your pronunciation and your speaking skills. So I'm going to explain why in this video. Okay, so several months ago, I wrote an email about this to all of my subscribers, and one person wrote back and he was so angry, and he was like, how can you say that reading out loud isn't the best method for improving our pronunciation and our speaking skills? This is what we've been taught. This is what our teachers have shown us. This is what we all do. And first of all, I was kind of like, okay, just because that's what everybody does and that's what you're being taught doesn't mean that that's the best method, right? The reason why reading out loud is not the best way to practice your pronunciation is because words in English, and I say this all the time, are not pronounced the way that they are written. In fact, words in English often have nothing to do. Their pronunciation has nothing to do with the way they're written. We have silent letters. We have confusing letter combinations. You know, when we're speaking, we cut off the ends of words. We add sounds. We eliminate sounds. And when you are reading text on a page, that text is flat. You can't read what intonation you're supposed to speak with. You can't read what emphasis you're supposed to put on which syllable. You can't read any of that information. So reading the words on a page, you could be reading them incorrectly. And who's going to be there to correct you, right? Who's going to be there to say, hey, no, you keep messing up right there. You keep doing that. That's not how it's done. If you're just reading out loud, you could be practicing something incorrectly and then practicing it consistently incorrectly, and then you're going to solidify an incorrect language pattern in your mind. Simply put, you cannot read sounds. You can hear sounds. So if you're trying to improve your pronunciation, you should not be reading and then trying to pronounce. You should be listening and then imitating what you hear, because your ears will not deceive you, but your eyes will. You'll read a word and you'll see a silent letter there and you won't realize it's silent, so you think you have to pronounce it, right? Your eyes are deceiving you. They're making you think that you need to pronounce a word in a certain way when you don't. So rather, you should listen to words, listen to sentences, listen to audio clips, and just imitate what you hear, right? Many of you know this as shadowing. You're shadowing what you hear. You're saying it as you're hearing it, or you're pausing the audio, pausing the video, and then repeating what you just heard. And then replay those audios again and again. Listen, repeat, listen, repeat. And that way you will learn to start sounding and speaking more like a native speaker and less like a textbook. A lot of foreign speakers, when they speak in English, they actually sound like a book, like very choppy, you know, like they're reading one word at a time and pronouncing everything perfectly, but nobody speaks like that, right? So reading out loud is not a great method because your eyes are going to see separations between words. They're going to see the spaces, and it's going to give you this idea that, oh my gosh, there's a space here between these words, so I need to make spaces in between my words when I speak. And that's simply not true. We run all the words together practically, okay, you guys? We use so many contractions in English. So again, if you're listening and then repeating what you hear, you're more likely to develop a natural sounding English. Now, the other reason why reading out loud won't necessarily help you with your speaking is because the way that sentences are constructed in a book are not the way that they are spoken in conversation, okay? And I'm going to give you an example of this. So I have a book here. It's called The E-Myth Revisited. And here on chapter 3, the very first sentence goes like this. It is self-evident that businesses, like people, are supposed to grow, and with growth comes change. That's a great sentence, but it's a great sentence for a book. I do not talk like this, okay? So instead of saying it is self-evident, I would say like, hey, it's obvious. It's obvious. And instead of starting my sentence like that, I might not even say it's obvious, because when something is obvious, we just say it. We don't have to say it's obvious. So I would just say, you know, businesses are like people. They have to grow. That's it. That's how I speak. I don't have to speak in this fancy way that this book is written. And this book isn't even that fancy, but as you can see from this sentence here, it still has some pretty complex sentences. And again, these sentences are very well written, but nobody talks like that. So if you want to learn to speak in a natural way, you have to imitate people, and not even people giving speeches, because the way you speak when you give a speech is a lot different than the way you speak in a conversation. So, in conclusion, reading out loud will help you improve reading out loud, okay? If you want to improve your pronunciation, listen and repeat what you hear. And if you want to improve your speaking skills, then do that same thing. Listen and repeat, but engage in conversations with other people where you can practice your speaking skills and where you can get feedback. Because in a conversation, someone's going to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, what do you mean by that?" Or "I don't understand what you mean," or "Could you explain that more?" or something like that. That shows you how you're doing. And likewise, if nobody asks that, if nobody says, "Oh, what do you mean?" if they just carry on with the conversation and keep going, then that confirms to you that they understood you and you're doing great with your English. Okay, so if all of this makes sense, please let me know in the comments, and I would love to do more videos like this where I answer frequently asked questions. So if you have a question that you'd like me to do a video about, please let me know in the comments. Just type it out there in the comments, and if you want to give me some context also, that would be really helpful. Tell me why you're asking, what you're struggling with, and what your goal is, what you're trying to achieve, okay? All right, so that is it. If you want a guide on practicing your English with native speakers, meeting native English speakers online, interacting with us so you can practice your English, improve your English, learn new vocabulary, build your confidence, etc., I have a guide on my website. I'm going to link it here in the description. I always share this guide because it is literally the most popular one on my entire website, EnglishFulltime.com. That's it, you guys. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.